welcome back. We are here at the Runes and Rift Invitational going into round 3, and it is looking like chaos is gonna be abounding. I'm joined here with Ned. What is up, good sir?
Hello, hello. Not much. Looking forward to this match.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one. And we've already seen 2 rounds so far. Really exciting. We saw Victor be able to make an impact. We've seen Rek'Sai be able to make an impact. And now we are going to an exciting matchup where we are going to be watching Draven versus Ezreal. So, again, 2 proponents of chaos. But which one is going to win out?
Yeah, I mean, we know what the meta is saying, but man, when Ezreal pops off, Ezreal really pops off. So
Hmm.
I think this match might be a little closer than what some might be expecting.
No, exactly right there. Because I mean, you're able to at least get the card draw from Draven, and a lot of times that's going to seem like something easy to do, and it is. But man, Ezreal, just especially with blue and purple, has a lot of colors that are able to utilize card draw on top of that, and so it'll be really interesting to see who can go ahead and utilize that better. But those answers that you are going to be finding off of your deck is going to be a big difference maker here.
Yeah, and starting with the Zon Warrens, being able to get your discard engine rolling really early on, and a Tide Turner coming out for Draven.
Yeah, well, and this is going to be really interesting too because we're only able to play a stacked deck, not able to get out a unit necessarily, and so you're almost giving that Draven that little bit of an initiative to go first, almost is what it feels like. And so even though you're only able to play a Tide Turner, that's still something to at least start getting you some points and winning you some combats.
That is true. Sometimes a 2 for 2 is just what you need if it means getting down an early body.
Yep. And this is the difficult part too when going against Draven, is that there is a lot of different ways that you are able to win a combat, and it can kind of be janked out a little bit. I mean, and we're already seeing what Reaver's Row is able to do. If you do back away from Reaver's Row, when defending against a Draven, that is a 1 combat, and you can activate the legend ability and draw a card.
Yep, getting your card draw engine going, but Ezreal coming out with a seal. We saw how strong those are, and only having Chaos Runes so far.
Yeah, that can kind of lock you down a little bit, but we'll see what ends up happening as another stacked deck is coming out to be used, and look at the top 3 cards to be able to select one. So we'll see what's going to be happening there. But I mean, at least you're able to fill your hands up with cards that you want to see and put the ones maybe you don't want at this point back to the bottom.
Yep, and hiding a card at his battlefield is on Warrens.
And so
Oh,
this is
Draven with 7 runes untapped and grip full of cards.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing too. You can almost attack in. Now, Draven will have the ability to recycle a rune if he so chooses to go up to 6 in case there's maybe something that you're anticipating. Not going to activate that. The fight or flight is going to immediately push it back, but you still have 4 runes to worry about in the backfield of Ezreal with 6 cards in hand. So we'll see, but this is going to be a little bit difficult.
And Big Brother's coming out, Darius, with his Legion buddy and going right back in.
Yeah, and I mean, even being able to play a Noxus Hopeful out with that, you're adding, essentially 9 might out onto the field. And so even if there is something like potentially a Rebuke that could be played, another Fight or Flight, whatever it might be, a Frigid Touch, though, is going to be a great answer. That is going to be repeated and at 1 less cost because of Ezreal's champion ability. And so that is going to be huge to bring Darius down to 2. Or no, bring him down -4, so 3 to 3, and that will be a trade.
Which, as the games go on, that Darius is going to get scary, but a little surprised he wanted to trade that might have been his only option.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like still though that deficit of 3 units out onto the board to 0 is going to be a big issue here. And it's like, yeah, sure, I love having 7 cards in hand, but now having to play out the Nocturne, having to play out, a Ride the Wind. Yes, that's good and all, but at the same time, if you choose to go into the Reaver's Row here, if you back out, that's a 1 combat for Draven, and you're giving him another card. Oh, with the ganking, though, that is going to be 2 points there.
Yeah. Because Ride the Wind readies it after it moves.
Yeah, sorry.
Quick
Seriously.
2 points.
And one of the most powerful cards from set 1, Ride the Wind. And you're able to see exactly why, as a hidden card is going to be placed there. But Ezreal, I mean, he's been sacrificing a lot of his runes for the power cost to hide cards, to, utilize a lot of cards like Ride the Wind. And he is down to 4 runes and completely tapped out.
Yeah, and Draven untapping with 8 runes. And still a grip full of cards.
Yep, and this is the thing, too. There were 2 Nocturnes that were drawn. They were not found from the stacked decks, unfortunately, and so that's a big difference maker. But right there, we already see Wages of Pain coming out, dealing 3 damage and able to create a gold. Now, of course, that could go ahead and be hard bargained in this case, but it looks like maybe Noxus Hopeful is going to be connected here so that it is an even trade and no 1 combat.
Yes, but the Draven tapping 2, recycling 1 for a spinning blade. Spinning axe.
Yeah. But I mean, such a great addition. Can automatically be equipped, ignoring the power cost to be able to equip. One of the advantages of quick draw there, and that is the surprise of Draven. There are a lot of reactions that you can use to be able to add additional might, to play a fight or flight, to play a Ride the Wind, whatever it might be. Of course, those are actions, but you get what I mean here. And you can add a ton of might and then just surprise your opponent and say, okay, what's your response now? And there, that was a 1 combat and a drawn card and 2 points added now for the Draven.
This game is going exactly as I hope. It's just slugging back and forth with units at both battlefields. But now, no units on board. We'll have to see what this Ezreal has in his hand and end stock for this Draven player.
Yeah, and I mean, a Fizz is at least going to be a step in the right direction with an Arcane Shift that is going to be able to deal 3 damage and then blip something back in. So, of course, that is going to be the Fizz. Now, of course, you still need to pay that power cost, which is going to be the gold token there. And Fizz can blip right back in and immediately play out another spell. Now, of course, Arcane Shift is going to go to the bottom, but still, there are a lot of other spells that you can potentially use.
And we'll have to see what it is.
Let's see. Did he have 2 Arcane Shifts in the discard too, or?
I don't think you should have any in the discard because you.
Yeah, because you're supposed to put it into the bottom of the deck, if I recall correctly.
Well,
but when it's played by Fizz, or and banished because it's played. Yeah, that's true too.
I think he discarded 1 earlier to either a Zon or an Ezreal.
Yeah,
and then played it just now from discard.
Gotcha. Okay. And yeah, it looks like we have Wages of Pain coming out, so a lot of spell utilization here to deal a lot of damage. And even with the quick draw of this new gear that is able to be utilized as well, we are able to see that Stupefy is able to come in to deal the finishing blow there, as another seal is coming out with a Rebuke to take back the Tide Turner to hand and destroying the signature spell of Draven.
Yeah, Spinning Axe being a temporary card if it's not attached to something, and removing all the units is rather strong. On the shots, clearing up your discard, or your draw, not discard.
And so
and
there
stacking the deck.
Yep. I mean, again, another 3 cards. That's going to be very helpful for Draven here, and this can be a big difference maker too, because there's a lot of aggression that can be added with accelerated units that Draven has access to. So again, this is going to be fun to see what he can utilize, but it looks like we are going to have the Forerunner coming out, which I love this card because it's essentially 12 might in total for a total cost of 6 and a power.
Yeah, and again, I always talk about 2-for-1ing or having modular cards. Even if this goes away, you still get 6 power on the board when it dies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I mean, on top of that, you could attach the equipment at that point and go up to 8, and that's already going to be a lot of might. That's going to be difficult to deal with, but still, right? The wind is going to be able to come in on the Fizz. Looks like is going to be the target to go over to Reaver's Row, scoring another point. He is going to be readied, and then potentially could even pull back to base to give, you know, no combats to be able to access the card draw of the Draven Legend ability.
Yeah, completely tapping out, and it's not something I usually see, but Ezreal running low on cards in hand, but managing to get, you know, constantly at least 1 to 2 points every turn in the face of a Draven.
Yeah, and so, I mean, immediately with that, we are able to go into the Zon Warrens. So on Conquer, you might be able to discard and draw one. And then on top of that, another Forerunner coming out. And I mean, again, these are going to be some big units that are difficult to deal with. And even if you do have something like Singularity that you are able to use to deal with this, you know, it's going to be still 6 additional, or, you know, 12 additional might if you do Singularity both of the Forerunners.
Yeah, you know, Draven just saying we like mechs, and saying here, can you deal with 6 power?
Yeah, well, and here's the thing, though. Only 1 Calm Rune out and 3 seals.
But now, with the Fizz having the last rites on, being able to dig through his graveyard and start reanimating.
Mm-hmm.
Which I believe at the moment is just Ezreal and Nocturne?
Yeah, I think so. But still, I mean, it is a very close game at that, with Draven being at 5 and Ezreal going up to 6. But again, like what we've been saying, this is a very difficult board state to try to deal with. And, you know, even though Draven hasn't necessarily been able to utilize a lot of the combat abilities to be able to draw cards, he is still doing a great job at staying in this game and being able to utilize what he does have. But still, Ezreal coming out to discard a card that's, you know, not necessarily needed at the end game to potentially find some additional answers, and Called Shot's going to be one of those.
Yep, just trying to look through the deck, trying to, you know, especially when you have low cards in hand, you really need your top deck to be what you need to hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, this has been a match in game 1 so far. It has been back and forth with both players having some strong answers. And I mean, we're now going into round 3. Both of these are in the winning bracket, so they are both 2-0, as you guys can see. But I mean, this is scary because, yeah, you're getting to the thick of it. These guys have proven that they are able to win some initial rounds, but this is when it's really going to start making that impact as we go up 6-6 now in game 1.
Yep, and attaching the long sword to the mech and seeing if a mech with a sword beats a fish with a spear. And it turns out it does.
So, and I mean, the equipment or to be able to equip that does cost a good deal, because you do have to recycle 2 cards, if I recall correctly, to the bottom of the deck. So we'll see if that is going to be an impact there. But 11 cards in the side deck. I do know some Ezreals also have been running Mundo, so having 11 in the discard could be a big difference maker there. But at the same time, it's like you really need to start making an impact on this board state, and especially with Draven having 6 runes at the ready, that's scary.
Yeah, and realistically, Fizz is running out of cards with only 16 in their main deck left. And this is the make or break turn if they're going to be able to push both mechs off of the battlefields.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. It's like, even if you do push them off, well, again, if you push them off or destroy them, it doesn't matter because they're going to immediately be readied up and, coming back in greater numbers, even if you happen to destroy them. And so it's like, oh gosh. And adding the might as well with the equipment makes, singularity almost be out of the question unless you're really willing to trade in. But I mean, if he has a fight or flight, then the unit heals up anyway, and the singularity is wasted on one unit.
Yeah, we'll have to see what this Fizz has in... Fizz. I see 3 Fizzes. Ezreal has in store. Moving it back. So that at least pushes it off. If you can push the other one off and conquer both.
Mm-hmm. And now, of course, you are going to be able to utilize Zon Warrens to discard and draw one. So potentially trying to find the answer off of the top deck. We'll see if that's able to be found. He is tapping. He is going to choose to fight or flight it back. So that is going to stop the hold point from winning victory there. But now he has the uphill battle of... Oh, wait, no, that is... Oh, there we go. There's a rebuke, though, coming in.
Does he have another answer to stop the Fizz? He does. But noticeably losing all but 2 of his... Or recycling all but 2 of his runes.
2 cards left in hand.
Still on the Ezreal's turn. Recycling some chaos.
Gosh, it is coming down to it there, and looks like going to be attaching the equipment. Maybe not.
Attaching the equipment. Maybe they didn't want the Ravenbloom student to have it. Maybe they were trying to put on the Fizz. That's what it was.
Interesting. And then going to be passing now. Draven's going to have 4 runes. He did sacrifice a lot with those double rebukes, but still, this is going to be all telling here on what Draven can potentially do. It is 7-7 in game number 1, and it is down to the wire here and could be anyone's game.
It is indeed. I'm curious what this Ezreal could have that's going to stop both these mechs from taking over. Switcheroos, it's nice.
It's a step in the right direction for sure. Being able to switch the might, and
so that's 8.
Yeah,
it just switches the might. It doesn't switch the ability.
Yeah, and so
does that now make this Ravenbloom student a 9?
Yeah, because the spell would activate, and then Ravenbloom student's ability would be on top of that after it resolves. And so it would be going up to 9 at that point to 2. So big difference maker there. And then Called Shot looks like is going to be repeated in this case, trying to find maybe an answer, a top deck, anything to try to get things moving here.
Yeah, but that is going down to only having 2 runes left,
and no chaos.
Just how we like it.
I mean, he's mulling over the cards, and again, this could be a very tough choice because he at least repeated it, so he will be able to look at 2 more after this. But still, it's like,
yeah, I'm not even sure what he could be looking for only having 2 Fury runes. That could get him up to 9. Ooh, Blood Rush. And Spinning Axe. Does that get him exactly to 9? 2, 4, 5, 6. Yep, that exactly traded.
Wow.
I mean, where there's a Draven, there's a way, I guess.
Yeah, it's soon going to be going down to potentially nothing left at that point. But I mean, again, Ezreal, luckily to, the Draven's benefit, Ezreal at least has only 1, soon to be 2 cards in hand. but still, that can be really scary, all things considered. And now, of course, getting the Conquer, you're not going to be going up to 8 points. You are going to be able to draw an additional card off of that and Zon Warrens, which could really help thin out your deck, or, thin out your deck, get some answers. But again, you only have 1 rune left. So this is going to be fun to see what Ezreal could potentially do this next turn.
Might as well get rid of the last rune as well.
Yep. I gotta say, it's been a really interesting game. I've absolutely loved the back and forth here, the answers that both have been able to use. And it looks like we are going to be going Fizz to take the battlefield. And to draw a card with that last rights is then going to be activated to then play a Fizz, which will go ahead and activate a spell that you could then use.
Moving the unit back to the battlefield. Revealing a Tide Turner was hidden there.
Ooh, that is a great answer, though.
Well, he needs to have something that can get this Tide Turner off, or that's going to be a hold victory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gosh, that's awesome. And even if you do happen to find something to get him off, you now have 2 units that can attack in on the following turn. But looks like Frigid Touch is going to be going and bringing him down a little bit. But you still need to find that answer.
Just so we can draw off the legend and a Ride the Wind.
Ooh.
Off the top. Draven with no runes. That is an insane top deck.
It really, gosh, it really is. Holy. And
you can see Zognolo just popping off on the webcam. I gotta be honest, I don't blame him.
Matchups, and so to be able to see these kinds of games early on, what people are developing as decks is so fun to be able to see, especially at this high of a level with these competitors.
Yes, indeed, and we're gonna have Targon's Peak and Ravenbloom Conservatory for our 2 battlefields this time around. One lets you ready runes at the end of the turn when you conquer. The other one lets you look at the top of your deck.
And that's the scary part, because sometimes you don't want to necessarily, give your opponent a battlefield advantage. But I mean, Targon's Peak, if utilized well by the Ezreal, can really also shut down the Draven. So really fun to see how both these battlefields are going to interact.
This is one of those times where I think both battlefields benefit both players.
Mm-hmm.
Which can be nice or sometimes frustrating.
Yeah, definitely. And then, of course, finding the early on seal. Great job there. Finding Ezreal to then now be able to discard 1 and draw 2. But, man, I absolutely love that you are able to, also change the repeat cost to be one less in this case. And, again, discarding the Nocturne. Again, you're not finding that off the top.
I just cut the Nocturnes in my paper deck because I saw it once and just hated drawing it.
It's the curse of Nocturne. Let's be real. You put it in your deck and you're maybe able to get it to go off once or twice, and otherwise it's always going to be like in your starting hand or something like that, and it's tough because it has the ability to be such a good card.
It does. It's one of those it may only work 1 out of 5 times, but the one time it works, you're just like, yes, this is a great strategy. The other 4 times, you wish you didn't have it.
Mm-hmm. And so, and here we go, a Draven out onto the battlefield, and that is it. But 6 runes at the ready could be very telling. Looks like a Fight or Flight, though, is going to be flinging the Ezreal back, unless there is some response that Ezreal could use.
Yeah, having that hidden card there means, having to get rid of the Wages of Pain hurts.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, not getting the gold and also not necessarily being able to impact a battle like Wages of Pain is able to do. That's a big difference maker. Not only that, now Draven could potentially try to take here. The showdown will start, of course, so there will be a chance to be able to play an action or reaction here. And it looks like we are going to be going with a stack deck to try to find an answer and maybe add to it a little bit.
I mean, we've seen the kind of top decks this Ezreal can have, so we'll see what they got here. Looks like they found another Frigid Touch, which I'm assuming they're doing just so they could activate Ezreal.
And
Oh, a
Gust.
Gust. Using the Frigid Touch to lower Draven's might.
Yep, but then at reaction speed, being able to add an equipment to go up. So, of course, and how this will resolve, we'll check on the Gust, and it will be above the 3 might. So, unfortunately, it won't be enough to get rid of the Draven and return it to hand.
Yep, now we're just going to take a look at our top deck to see if we have anything we like.
So
it is now Zog's turn, and I believe Draven should have 2 more runes untapped from Conquering.
Yeah, we'll see. But I mean, again, sometimes it is easy, especially when playing Draven. There are so many different, interactions, triggers that you have to watch out for. And in this case, it looks like Ezreal is just going to go all in on the other battlefield in this case and see what they are able to do here. But again, with the Noxus Hopeful being out, that can get really big really fast. But it looks like we are going to be seeing a Forerunner, which was able to do a lot this last game.
And just passing it back, building up their back line for a later turn. Last Right's coming down. Currently, the only target he'd have is Nocturne.
But even still, I mean, this is a scary board state to try to build up here. And Draven is doing a great job at making a lot of might and saying, hey, I'm going to give you this turn, but you better be ready when I come back into this, because 8 runes for Draven is so scary. And especially with all that might spread across 3 units is a lot of devastation, which can be dealt out.
It is indeed. And Last Right's only going off when holding or conquering.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to see if this Raven Bloom sticks around.
Yeah, and so, gosh, this is scary. But still, 4 runes also at the ready for the Ezreal. There's a lot of answers that can be held in those 5 cards. But still, likewise, I mean, Draven just has, a book of possibilities here. All the runes and a lot of the cards that you could want here. And then also even just the Draven ability of his champion being able to recycle a rune, a red rune at least, to be able to add +2 might can also be a big difference maker if you need to get over any might in this case.
Yes, and conquering Targon's Peak, being able to draw, then into a stack deck.
And so again, digging for those answers, that is so scary, being able to utilize that as efficiently as you can. And gosh, I mean, Ezreal does that so incredibly well too, and especially with the champion ability. But the Gust is going to be coming in, and we'll see if there's going to be a response to that. But Ezreal going back to hand, that could be something devastating. Even if you do get to use his champion ability on the following turn, that is still a huge step back of taking out 3 might from the equation.
Yep, and now Draven and the mech coming in for, I believe that's a total of 12 so far.
Oh, but a Nocturne being found off the top. Because it wasn't a spell, so he doesn't draw, and so just like that, hey, by the way, here's 4 might.
So that's a total of 8 so far. Still have another 4 deficit.
Yep. But again, any spells that are activated, we are going to see an additional up of the Ravenbloom student. A Rebuke is going to be coming out to rebuke back a very high-costed unit. Great job there. Ooh, and another fight or flight response to push back the Ravenbloom student. And that is going to resolve.
And might as well play the stack deck. These are the games that I love. Just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Well, and you can see just how much these battles, these showdowns really take to be able to gain a point, especially between these two giants. I mean, you see how powerful purple is here, how powerful even blue is for Ezreal to be able to utilize, and you know how difficult it is for you to be able to take a contested battlefield. And so, I mean, look at how many cards both these competitors have been using just to either hold and gain a point or to, you know, conquer and get a point. And man, it is just back and forth.
Yeah, and again, we're already seeing Ezreal at 24 cards, Draven at 28. Both these players are going through their decks.
Yeah, and that's the scary part, because even with stacked deck, could have found potentially another Nocturne, though that sadly wasn't the case. But that would be even another way to add an additional 4-might back to the battlefield. And unfortunately, that is going to look like Nocturne is going to be defeated, going into the trash as a point is scored. Draven's going to be able to draw a card off of the combat, as well as a gold being created from the Draven champion ability.
And then reinforcing with another Noxus Hopeful. Untapping 2 and passing the turn.
And that's scary.
So now we have a Raven Bloom with a Last Rites going up against a 6-might battlefield and an 8-might battlefield with 4 runes to contend with.
Yeah, and you know, at least there is a Fight or Flight that's in the discard, so you can at least rule that out a tiny bit. But I mean, the Draven has done a good job, because one of the big things that you don't want to do early on is sacrifice a lot of your runes. And when you get to this mid to late game, it's like, cool, now I can actually pay for a Rebuke without costing an arm and a leg and setting me back too far. I can play now, you know, a lot of my power cost spells that impact this game that much more and still be able to maintain my momentum. And so this is a very scary board state for Ezreal, and he needs to be able to find ways to get back into this game.
One of those ways might be discarding a Arcane Shift to an Ezreal, then playing the Arcane Shift with Fizz.
Yep, and so that is going to be a discarded in that case, removed from the game, but 3 damage is going to be remaining on the on the Draven, and then just like that, Wages of Pain is going to be coming out to deal the final blow, also creating a gold token.
Last Right's going to be... Last Right's wielding Ravenbloom soon, going to be conquering the Candlelit, but with no runes available, nothing he can play from his discard off of Last Rights. Now Draven untapping with full 10 runes. A gold token and 2 hopefuls.
Gosh.
What's even scarier is them tapping 5.
Yep, and that's the thing, especially in Spiritforge, if you do play a Darius, he can get so big so fast, especially if you have something like Bloodshot. If you have the gear that you're able to attach, he now can go up to 11 incredibly fast, but it looks like a Called Shot is going to be coming out to maybe dig a little bit deeper. That is still going to be seen as the second card, which is going to ready the Darius and bring him up to 7.
Yep, and sacrificing the gold so they can repeat it.
Yep.
And top 4.
Yep, and Ezreal's tapped out. So
this is when we start getting into the scary territory for points, because if Darius wins here, puts him to 6, now they have to start considering getting both of them off or risk getting hold victories.
Yep. Now, on the plus side, at least the battlefield was able to activate with a Called Shot that is able to be used here. Now, we'll be going ahead and finding a Nocturne off of the top, it looks like. And, of course, drawing the other card. But Nocturne will then be added here and going up, adding 4 might to the battlefield. But you got to be careful, because Draven has a lot of answers with still 5 runes left.
And Darius picking up his little brother's axe and is going to grab a lot of more energy, a lot more toughness, might, to this Darius.
And this is This is a big risk, though, because Ezreal is recycling so many runes to try to find any and all answers that he can, but I don't think it's going to be able to, and this could be the deciding factor. Now that Fight or Flight is coming out and leaving Ezreal with only 4 runes on the following turn with 2 units out in base, that's scary. Gosh.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this Ezreal is going to have to claw their way back in with 4 runes. They have a stacked battle line or battlefield, but I don't know what they're going to do against this. What is this, a 7 Darius currently? No, an 8.
Yep. And it's like, but I mean, you still at least have a ton of cards in hand, but with only 4 runes, that doesn't feel necessarily great. So
Yeah,
we'll
they
see.
need to get this Darius off this battlefield. Or they're going to run into potentially having them get their conquer point next turn.
Mm-hmm. Here we go. We are minusing 2 now with Stupefy, so Draven is going to be at 6. But again, 2 cards that are drawn, double target, so Ezreal is going to activate as a legend ability, drawing a card. So, I mean, that's 3 cards off of 2 might, which is, I mean, or off of 2 runes, which is very powerful. But still, again, we need to try to find these answers as Rasha comes in for free with 12 cards in the discard and using a seal to be able to pay for the power cost.
Ride the wind, throwing in Rasha. So they were at 8. They got 2 -1, so they're now at 6. To Rasha's 6.
And then not only that, the battlefield found a rebuke, which is now going to be added into Draven's hand. That's scary in and of itself, because that already, if you do reinforce, it's like, well, one's potentially going back to hand.
And now Ezreal has to be careful here. Putting the last rites on Nocturne, but no runes to play anything.
Yeah, you just have to be so careful here.
So putting 6 might on that.
And again, recycling even more runes.
Oh, so he can play the Rasha.
I mean, hey, props. I love how the Ezreal is still playing this, being able to go down with very minimal runes. But I mean, even with only 4 runes, I mean, we got to take a look at that. 4 runes last turn, and you were able to develop this so much. But here we go with Gust coming in and at least taking out 3 might. That's going to be a big shift there. But still, I am so impressed that Ezreal was able to do so much with so few runes.
Yeah, so they have 12 might over on this battlefield, going down another rune to hide a card, only having 1. I imagine their plan is, hey, here's this spot's mine. See if you can get me off of it. A Draven deck is pretty good at getting big answers.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, too. It's 6-6 currently, so, I mean, there is a chance that you very well could just say, hey, I'm going to go over to the other battlefield, reinforce it, too, and now you have to try to move in with only 3 runes at the ready for you as the Ezreal player. So, again, there's all these different calculations that you have to make. It is such a close game again, where, I mean, last round we saw it at 7-7, and here we are at 6-6, and this is already being very decisive here, and any little misplay, any mistake here that you might have can really set you back on being able to win this game.
Yeah, it looks like Draven's thinking about recycling 2 and floating. Undecides that. Starting off with just seeing that hopeful take out the Fizz.
Yeah, well, and seeing that be taken is powerful because that is a conquer through a combat, as well as then being able to, find some answers potentially. And Yeah, it looks like Called Shot is going to be digging a little to try to find maybe that little last piece of answers needed. We do know that there is a Rebuke in hand with the Draven, which he can utilize on the following turn. So again, that can already really shut down the Ezreal from being able to take the Targon's Peak.
Yeah, but I think he's just floating that too. I think that's how he symbolizes it, by flipping over those runes, which is kind of nice. Interesting to see what a 7-hand Draven needing one more point has.
So is going to be pushing in, though, with a 6 might. Noxus hopeful. There could be more added to that, but it looks like a fight or flight will be activated to push it back to base. And then checking the top, because on the defense, and it is going to be a Frigid Touch, though that won't be able to be activated this turn either.
Is that 5? This is another Darius?
Yeah, and that's the scary part about this. Now there is only one Chaos out on the field for the Draven player, meaning that the Rebuke that he drew is no longer able to be used on the following turn. So that already could be costing him potentially this game and the match. We will see. Gosh, and
Both these players trying to just fight, scratch, and hang on to each battlefield.
yeah. Well, and
Get
this
that
is
final point.
And this is only game number 2, and we are down to 8 minutes left in the match, give or take, of course. But still, that's going to be very telling here, too. And with Ride the Wind is going to immediately try to attack back in. And so that's going to be the last, or potentially the last. I'll see how if they already didn't pay for it or something along those lines on the last Chaos rune.
So this is a 6 might going up against 2 6 mights. Probably just hoping just to knock one of them out, unless they have. Nope, just hoping to trade with one of them.
And interestingly enough, though, the Nocturne does have ganking, so it has the ability to move over and immediately attack in. So, but still, 5 runes up because of the Targon's Peak potentially if he does pass this turn. But he did untap the purple, so potentially considering the passing. But oh man, we'll see.
The Ezreal has to make a decision if it's better to sit here at the battlefield he currently has, or looks like we're recycling a rune.
Yeah,
to attach.
Go up to 6. It's like both competitors here have so many cards in hand. But it looks like even another card could potentially be hit or attached at that point of adding another one and then a Ride the Wind to potentially try to attack in. This could be the 8th point.
This looks like it is going to be the 8th point.
And yeah, it looks like the Nocturne is going to fall.
Wow. Both games so far have been decided by top decking a Ride the Wind. Obelisk of Power. Adding runes to the first turn. Right.
Yep, exactly. And so, but still, that's going to allow a turn 1 Ezreal to be played as the signature spell will be discarded. We've seen Fizz already be able to use that so powerfully. And then immediately Ezreal is going to go over into the Targon's Peak to ready 2 runes at the end of the turn. And so this is already just such a great start for Ezreal. And he's passing with 4 runes up.
Each one saying, all right, we'll get our own battlefields then.
And then, of course, before scoring the point, we are going to see if there's any actions or reactions that can be used. Ezreal did leave 4 runes up. And there's the Nocturne being found off the top. That is going to be put back into the into base, though could be played into the battlefield like we've seen. And another stack deck coming out. Is it going to find a second Nocturne? That'd be absolutely hilarious.
It doesn't look like it.
So still, though, this has been a really interesting series, and this has been a grind for both competitors as Draven is now able to get his first point of the game and playing an Overzealous Fan, which is a fight or flight of a unit, essentially, which can sometimes be very difficult to get around.
Yeah, fight or flight on a stick. We'll have to see what the response is.
Yeah, so, I mean, and that's the thing. It's when I defend, you may kill me to move an attacking unit to its base. And so, and that's really interesting, too, because it gets around, like, green so incredibly well because it is a unit ability and not necessarily a spell ability. And so that plays into things so well. But here we go with Fizz coming in, utilizing the Arcane Shift. We are going to be blipping in and out the Ezreal to then deal 3 damage to the Overzealous Fan. And the Overzealous Fan is about to go the way of the Earth and not be able to make the impact that we love to see him make.
And Ezreal coming back in means you get the draw 2, discard 1. Oh, discard 1, then draw 2. I had it backwards. Knew there's a 2 and a 1 involved.
Yeah, and I mean, again, though, we have seen Ezreal be able to draw a lot of cards so far, but we haven't been able to necessarily see him draw a ton early in game. And so now to be able to see, look at all these cards that I've been able to draw. I mean, this is what we are on turn 3, I think, or turn 5. Sorry, turn 5. And he's already been through and has 25 cards left in his deck.
Ezreal saying, Draven needs to go back to base, and Draven saying, nope, he needs to go back to the battlefield. So and recycling a red rune to give him that +2 to survive the Nocturne.
Yeah, and that's the big deal, too, because, hey, now, by the way, I am tapped out as the Ezreal player. I can't have any actions or reactions. So, hey, the Nocturne is gone. That is going to be a 1 combat, a drawn card, and a made gold token. So, such an advantage just from 1 combat.
Yeah, that's what this Draven deck's really, I've been finding is good at doing, thinking, oh, I've got this Draven right where I want him. And completely flipping and being like, I do not want to be in this position anymore.
No, not at all. And I mean, we're going into the final 30 seconds of the round, and there we go with a Vex out. Now, that can be a game changer in and of itself, because when I'm in combat, friendly units cost 1 and 1 power less, potentially, to be able to play spells, but 1 and 1 more for opponents to play their spells. So that is devastating and could cost Ezreal a lot more to be able to make his impact.
Yes, and with time coming up.
Or it looks like still a couple more minutes potentially, because this is a casted match. They might have started a little bit later, so time has been added.
Good, I want to see this match for as long as I can.
No, same. It's been an absolute great match. Love to see this kind of interaction, and love to see even just the technicality that you need to have to be able to play these decks. I mean, this is at such a high level, and any kind of, like what we said, any kind of misplay or misclick here could very well be costing you the game. And here we go again, seeing the Stupefies make an impact, seeing now Ezreal as a legend being able to draw a card, and you're able to see now 21 cards left in the Ezreal deck.
Yeah, that is an insane amount of card draw. But getting rid of the Nox is hopeful, getting the Conquer, having another open battlefield, but the Draven does have 2 runes available.
Yeah, and here's the thing, though. Everyone's always, like, so fearful, like, oh, no, Draven's going to draw so much, and yes, he does. but I mean, you're looking at the draw disparity here. Look at the difference. And that could be the big deciding factor of this game 3.
Ride the wind, targeting Vex. They're going to throw that into the Ezreal, I would assume?
Yeah, looks so. And that's going to be pretty... I mean, at least... Oh, gosh, what do you do at that point?
Hope you have another Ride the Wind or a
yeah,
Rebuke, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know if this Ezreal runs Rebuke, but...
Well, even still, even if you run the Rebuke, what the Vex is saying that I got to now cause you to pay one more additionally on that. But it looks like, yeah, the Ride the Wind is going to be utilized here to be able to push him back to base and ready him. But again, that's another one combat.
And the called shot coming out for Ezreal.
So, and I gotta say, I absolutely love Called Shot here with Ezreal. I think it's the best way to utilize this card in a deck because the repeat cost when Ezreal is out on the board is lessened by 1 power. So already you're able to get the repeat cost out for free, but still, again, we now see the Ezreal once more only with 2 runes, soon to be 4 if he survives this turn. But I mean, that is scary in and of itself.
Mm-hmm. And we are on turn 1 with Draven for overtime.
All right. Well, there's the Rebuke, though, that is going to be coming in. And again, the rune disparity is going to be a big difference here. But it looks like another Called Shot is going to be coming out as an action to... Oh, maybe not. Or, yeah, it looks like he is just going to go ahead and put back the Chaos Rune, opting in to... just remove it, and a switcheroo being wasted, unfortunately.
You hate to see it.
Yep, and I mean, with that, also opting not to go ahead and reinforce, the Draven is going to be out into the battlefield, and with all runes at the ready, Stack Deck is going to be able to dig a little deeper. Luckily, Draven only has 2 cards in hand, but 5 runes readied is scary enough as it is. Oh, so many possibilities.
It is, and with Draven sitting at 7 points, you got to feel like Ezreal's sweating here with only 3 runes available.
I mean, again, but the Rasha coming in clutch there, being able to be played for literally a power cost, which you're just going to use a seal for. But you need to be able to make the impact. You need to figure out how can I go ahead and get Draven away from the battlefield so he doesn't score the 8th point. But not only that, I need to also be able to defend so he can't win the game.
Yeah, he's got to get this Draven off the battlefield, but many cards. But a Ride the Wind to send the Rasha in.
Yeah, but there's so many reactions that could be used here. I mean, you could add a signature spell to be able to auto-equip, and go up to 3, but looks like he is going to be recycling 1 to add 2, so now it is 6 to 6. Now, of course, you can activate that when you start to attack and defend, but that is going to be a trade instead, so interesting choice there. But again, when you already have 2 units in the backfield, why not? Especially when your opponent's only going to be going up to 4 points.
Yeah. Going to 4 points, and now Ezreal's in a rough spot, but gonna assume... Oh, I thought that was 2 Nocturnes for a second. I was like, that's an insane hit.
No, it would be, but even 1 is going to be a big difference maker to reinforce the battlefield. That is going to be 7 might that is going to be at the Targon's Peak, and opting to also play a 3rd seal with recycling to be able to play a hidden card. So 1 rune is going to be at the ready. Targon's Peak not necessarily being utilized for the battlefield ability, but still... that is a little bit of a field to be able to build here, and as Vex goes in first.
Yeah, Ezreal's got 1 room and a dream. Because this is, I believe, turn 3 now?
Yeah, I
for
think
Draven.
I think you're correct on that. And so there goes the fight or flight. Now, of course, that'll be in response to the called shot. So that is at least going to get a card out of the way. And, I mean, it's like, otherwise, what else can he necessarily use? You're worried maybe a little bit about Gust, but again, that's not going to be targeting anything that's already been used here. And you just went ahead and added another card to hand.
Recycling his final rune.
And so that is going to be a card drawn for the 7th point. And so that's already going to be a huge help. Then it looks like we are going to be gusting on the Draven side to put a card back. And then there we go with an overzealous fan being played to base, interestingly enough. And now it is 7-4. Nocturne does have ganking, but still, you got to be very mindful. Only 2 runes for Ezreal. Doesn't matter if you have 6 cards in hand, you only have 2 runes.
Ooh, I think that might do it.
Yep, the fight or flight to put the dagger in the heart to be able to win out an absolutely thrilling match there. I mean, you see the reactions from both competitors. I mean, probably a huge sigh of relief here, but also just an absolutely devastating loss from Ezreal. Both very hard fought by both competitors here.